All right, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the TMossBoss Show. Then today's episode. So, as I'm, kind of just surfing around, thinking of some things to talk about for my podcast, I got to thinking about it. Just a robot talking on it. I'm trying to think. How did I find out again that he was homeschooled? It probably was through him, but just watching like different videos about him and stuff. But overall, yeah, I wanted to talk on that. I wanted to talk on homeschooling and how it needs to be properly done so you don't end up like just a robot. Or I guess for a parents out there, you don't have your kids end up like just a robot. And I guess for somebody that don't really know of just a robot situation, because I imagine there's probably some people out there just kind of just going throughout the internet and stuff, looking for some homeschooling videos or podcast episodes or whatever and things. But overall, though, yeah, because I feel like I need to explain just a robot for those that don't know who he is. Like, this is your first time ever coming to my podcast. So just a robot is a YouTuber that I've gotten into it with since 2016. And yeah, he's definitely one of those individuals that has an extreme case of like social problems. He can't really communicate with people that well. So his way of communicating is, oh, I gotta insult you. I gotta, and I guess if somebody that he is trying to be cool with, he feels that he needs to crack sexual jokes with them and stuff. And I'm like, fam, the thing is this. I would say that even though I did go to public schools, there was at a point in time where I wasn't really all that social. But I would have to say though that working at the last job that I had, like I had no choice but to be social. So I do feel like that when you put yourself out there to be social, then yeah, you're gonna have better social skills. But I feel like with somebody like him, he didn't do that because it always had to be something weird with him, and I feel like it had to have been like that when he was a kid all the way up until now that he's an adult and things. But anyways, that is one thing that I did hear about with him was that he was homeschooled. And it did raise some concerns because I'm like, I don't know how it went about. Like, I don't know if he had like some, because there was a friend of mine that was actually homeschooled for a little bit. It was all the way. Well, I don't know when exactly it was in. I can't remember if it was our freshman or sophomore year, but she started doing some homeschooling. And I don't know what the case is, but that was the thing though about her. She didn't grow up to be no weird individual and stuff, like yeah, it's like I think she did kind of step away from social media for a little bit, but social media is toxic. I don't blame nobody for stepping away, but I mean, if it was for some bullying stuff, yeah, I mean, I get it. I understand, kids, they can be toxic, but that's the thing though, where I'm like, I went to school. And I would say that's the thing though, like I dealt with them, but I didn't believe in their bullying. Like I was like, nah, it's one of those things where I'm like, like I came across some kids that tried to play that game with me, and I'm like, fam, please just leave me alone. I'm not doing anything to you. Go on about your business before you mess around and get hurt. Like because I'm saying, it's one of those things where I'm like, I know what you're trying to do, and it was good. It was almost believable. You almost had me, but yeah, it was one of those things. It wasn't like on no scale of like a kid cornering me talking about give me your lunch money. For kid did that, yeah, you getting your nose broke, and I'm like, I don't I don't care about no consequences afterward. Suspend me, expel me. I'm like, hey, bro. I'm like, there's other schools in Washington State. I do not mind. All right, so I was one of the like front runners up for being a crash out kid growing up. So yeah, that's why I'm like I could tell y'all some stories. That's why I'm like, with the bullying stuff, it never really affected me because I handled myself, So, anyways, but no, I mean, like, I get it, though. Like, I understand, some people aren't like me, and, yeah, they, deal with bullying the first time, second time, third time, and it'll get to them. At some point in time, it will get to them. And that's why I just, just to talk on that real quick, like, I do think that, like higher ups in like just in the like school area, like just when it comes to like them school districts, the teachers, and just it's like the people above the teachers, like whoever it is that's in charge of that stuff. Definitely there needs to be some more consequences and repercussions when it comes down to bullying, because that's the thing where it's like, I hate hearing those stories where it's like a kid gets bullied and then nobody don't do nothing, and then next thing you know, this kid ends up being a situation where they do something to themselves or they do something to somebody at that school that don't deserve it, and I really don't want to get into that dark part of the conversation, but I mean, it's there, it's happened, it's been happening since the 90s, and you just hear all these different stories and stuff. I'm like, man, seems like it's always some school shooting story happening. I'm like, I think there was just one that just happened not too long ago, and I'm like, bro, yeah, it was like, no, it was some viral situation where I think it was like the kid, it was, I don't know, the girl, I don't know what the case was, but it was like the guy walked up on the girl, shot and killed her. I don't know if it was a bullying thing or whatever the case may be, but I'm like, man, there needs to be more just consequences behind that stuff. Like I said, I don't know what the case is with that. I don't know if it was like a failed relationship or if it was bullying or he got rejected, whatever the case may be. But if it was bullying, then I'm like, yeah, their teachers need to take that stuff serious, because I'm like, yeah, there's kids, where they have a hard time going through school, and there's like kids that I grew up with where it's like, yeah, you don't really see them that much in things, because it's like it was hard for them growing up, and it's like, yeah, you got kids that just don't have like no proper home training and stuff, then they go to school and then they display that stuff that they be doing at their house at school, and I'm like, fam, like that's something that people need to understand, is that not everybody is going to, overall like be like how the people are at your home. Like, you gotta understand, you gotta separate that stuff. So like, I know, like for me, it's like me and my family, I know we have fun, we crack jokes, we say things, but I'm like, I know I can't say those things unless they're comfortable with that type of stuff. And I've talked on that before. I'm like, my comfort level when it comes down to, everybody, not just some people, everybody. So I'm like, I might joke around with this person, but with this other person, I might not joke around with them as much. And then it's like to just even throw that into the mix of like the example where it's like it's a black friend where it's like, I might crack like race jokes with them, but the other black friend, I'm like, I don't know their sense of humor, so I'm like, I can't really be joking around with them like that. So yeah, it's just, people need to understand that, that there's a comfort level and you can't invade that and stuff. I know with bullies, it's like they don't, what, just to talk to that kid real quick that is getting bullied in school, beat them at their own game. Have them in a situation where it's like they're full-blown crying. Like that was one thing that I'll never forget. I remember this kid tried pulling that crap on me. He goes, and this was like, I remember it was the first day of school in 5th grade. He goes and he starts making fun of my last name, Moss. And so I made fun of his, and he broke down in tears and he started crying. And I was like, man, I realized that my, besides my physical actions, my vocal actions, it also has power. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to use this to my advantage. And I'm telling you, like, there were so many different times where kids would try to play that game with me. And I'm like, fam, I guarantee and I promise you, I'm going to make you upset before you make me upset. And it's going to get to a point where you are going to want to get violent. But I'm going to tell you this right now. It's not going to work in your favor. So just leave me alone. Let me be. I've always been that, like, leave me alone kid. I'm like, bro, just let me be, man. Cause I'm like, even that same grade, I remember it was another kid, and I just recently found out that he passed away. And I'm like, so I ain't gonna say nothing like disrespectful or distasteful or anything about him. But there was at a point in time where, he was trying to play that bullying game, but I had shut that stuff down. And but I remember after that, me and him, we ended up being cool with one another. It's like he apologized. He put that stuff. Overall, we just put that stuff behind us. And I remember after that, we were always cool with each other. Anytime we see each other, say hi. And then it was like, I remember I was hanging out with because it was a friend. It was like a mutual friend of ours where I hung out with him more than the kid that was messing with me. But yeah, I remember one day we were hanging out and he told me that he passed, and I'm like, man, that's messed up. And I like, no, I know people probably be like, oh, you probably didn't care about that guy. No, I didn't. I was like I said, we put that stuff behind us. And I was like, no, like when my friend had told me that, I was like, I actually did feel like, a little depressed. I'm like, I feel like anybody's gonna feel depressed. You hear, like, because at one point in time, like, I did consider him a friend, even though, like, I hadn't talked to him in years, but still, though, it was all like, nah, he was one of those people. I was all like, I was cool with him at one point in time. So yeah, man, it was just crazy hearing that. But overall, though, it was like, just moving on from that subject. I feel it, because I was like, I would have just kept talking and talking about it and things. Yeah, it's one of those things where I'm all like, if I can do an episode talking on that, death, it's a little hard to process at times, but anyways, but then I'm trying to think, middle school, I ain't really I'm more so seeing kids get bullied. I would have to say I ain't really deal with it myself. Now I did kind of deal with it a little bit in high school and stuff, but yeah, overall, I'm like, it's just one of those things where like, I don't know, I feel like saying it happens is just kind of like a bad thing to say. Like, I feel like more needs to be said about it and things. But getting back to that topic of homeschooling and stuff, like, I get, like, where it's like with that bullying, it'll lead to homeschooling and things, but I mean, I feel like that shouldn't take away a kid's experience. That's what I was saying. It was like, there needs to be, like, teachers and people that, like, take that type of stuff serious. Like, kid approaches you saying, like, hey, this kid's bullying me. You need to go off on that kid. That's because my thing is this, if I'm a teacher and one of my students come up to me talking about, hey, there's this kid that's bullying me, they're giving me a hard time, and I can see it in their face that they're going through a rough spot in their life, I'm going off on that kid that's bullying them. So what if I lose my job? My thing is this, though. The mission is to have it where the bully is no longer messing with that kid. So, or I'll give that kid somebody. I'm like, hey, look, you ain't here for me, but embarrass that kid, and I'm like, just let me know when you're about to embarrass him. So if he tries to walk up on you and do some things, I'll step in the middle of it. I'm all like, hey, then I'm like, look at you, like, kind of give you a little secretive dab and stuff, and be all like, hey, you go to the office, but then be like, nah, bro, you go on to the class. I'm like, you ain't in trouble. You told me the business, and I'm like, yeah, and I made sure I had your back and things. So yeah, but anyways, but yeah, like I was saying about that, but no, like I said, though, getting back to homeschooling and things, because homeschooling, I feel like it has, like, its ups and it has its downs. I feel like that it does improve because I think I even had looked that up too. I was like looking up homeschooling. It did say something like it helps improve. Yeah, so there was all like, I still have it tabbed. So there was all like, homeschooling can have both positive and negative effects on students. Positively, it can lead to improved academic performance, reduce peer pressure and bullying, and enhance family support. Negatively, it can limit social interactions with peers, potentially leading to challenges in developing social skills and adapting to diverse environments. And yeah, that's one thing that's like, just getting back to talking on Just a Robot, you can see that with him, that he is, he's just in his own little world. And, when it comes down, just based on some of the stuff that he done said in his videos, where he then got fired from multiple jobs because he done said something crazy to one of the female, or if not, just any employee and stuff. But yeah, he said he done got fired from multiple jobs for, how he talks to people and stuff. Then when you see how he talks to people in videos, I mean, just recently he had a video go out where it was a person detailing how he was being, like, weird and sexual in the conversation. It's like, bro, do you not realize that this is another person that you're talking to? Like, be normal, man. So yeah, it's something where I'm like, I see stuff like that, and that's why I'm like, man, which is worse, homeschooling, or you're putting your kid through homeschool. And that's where I'm like, I don't know if it was like some like online homeschooling with him, or if it was like what was that movie, The Water Boy, where it was like Kathy Bates, how she was acting with Adam Sandler. Like, I don't know if he had a mom like that, or a mom that was, and it's funny how, like, same actress, where it's like she was kind of being weird. Kathy Bates, she is such a good actor. But anyways, I don't know if it was a situation like whatchamacallit, what was that name, The Blind Side, because I think he was homeschooled, but he was a smart kid though. But it was like you could tell he wasn't like socially like active and stuff. Like, he wasn't really all that communicating with people and stuff. And but no, it was like it wasn't really, I mean, I don't know, I wouldn't say it was just, yeah, he was just quiet. I feel like there's two types of kids I feel like they get homeschooled. There's them quiet kids, and then there's them quiet kids where it's like they got like a weird side to them. So there's the non-weird quiet kid, and there's the weird quiet kid. And it's like, bro, yeah, like I was like, just a robot. Yeah, he was that weird quiet kid and stuff. But anyways, but yeah, I mean, like, if it's a situation like that, I feel like, when it really comes down to it, it's like, I feel like that with a homeschooling situation, I feel like that it needs to be a situation where there's some sort of, well, I know there's private schools too, but private schools are expensive. They need to just have it where it's like, I guess, like kids that have like social problems and stuff, like, I don't know, maybe have it where they do a test. And because I think that it needs to, well, I don't know, it's something where I'm like, it's there just needs to be more of a thought process that goes into schooling and homeschooling. But overall though, I'm like, yeah, it's something where, but with homeschooling, I know people will probably ask, like, as that parent, what would you do for your kid? Would you want your kid to be homeschooled or going to a public school? Like, I'm telling y'all right now, I want my kid to go to a public school. But if there is a case where they needed to be homeschooled, then yeah, I'm like, I'm gonna have to try that. I'll cross that bridge when I need to cross that bridge. But yeah, it's just one of those things where I'm like, I just don't want them to, just grow up to be weird and things. Like, I just feel like that when it comes down to that homeschooling stuff, it's like it's a hit or miss. Like, and but that's the thing though, where I'm all like, if it's my kid, that I'm like, I don't know, I wouldn't be all that worried. I'm like, if he's anything like me, then that's why I'm like, yeah, he's going to do perfectly fine. He or she is going to do perfectly fine when they're in school and stuff. But anyways, but yeah, overall though, I just feel like that with homeschooling, it's just, you need to really sit down and talk with the kid. And I feel like, just kind of just talking to the parent and stuff. Get your kid like out there, put them, rather than family gatherings and stuff. No, actually have it where they, because I'm trying to think, like, where could a place be where it's like, kids is like chilling and stuff, and then they can like, but then that's the thing where it's like, if your kid's kind of like quiet or shy, there needs to be like a space for like shy and quiet kids. So at least then they can kind of like, because I feel like shy and quiet kids, they kind of have like that mutual, like there's something that they all liking things, whether it's like, it'd be video games for an example, and it's like maybe have like some activities. Dang, that actually would be like like a dope spot. Like, I guess, like, if there's like a place, like a hangout spot, but for like quiet kids and stuff, where it's like, like there's just activities where it's like, whether it's books, comic books, video games. I'm trying to think, like, dang, I'm like, bro, I be thinking of some inventions, and I'm like, bro, I just know that would hit. So, like, a place where it's called like the quiet zone or something like that, right? Like, no, hear me out on this idea, right? So there's this place called the quiet zone. It's like an oversized library, but there's like more to it and stuff, where it's like, you play video games with headsets, but it's like, you can sit and communicate, talk with people, all that stuff. What else? And then there's like books, there's comic books, there's like a kind of like an area where they could just sit and just watch movies and stuff. I'm saying, like, and and then, but it's like a place where it's like, they could just meet up, and I'm like, have it where it's like maybe an age range of like, like teen, like just like that teenage, well, no, I feel like it could be like a thing where, oh, and then have it too where it's like, I feel like that would be a spot too where it's like they like teachers can come in and then like teach these kids. Bro, I'm telling you right now, like, there's gonna be a day I actually go through with one of these $1 million ideas, and I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna be mad rich. Like, I'm gonna be like Bill Gates, but I don't know, like, just a little bit. Well, I don't think Bill Gates. He don't strike me as a loud and vocal person. But yeah, it's like I'm gonna be just Bill Gates, but black and loud and proud about it. But anyways, but no, overall though, like, jokes aside, no, there needs to be areas like that though for quiet kids. So at least then it's like they're socially getting out there and stuff, and then who knows, they may encourage them to, they build up that confidence where it's all like, I mean, because that's one thing about, I guess, like, just talking to the kid, like, you ain't gotta talk to everybody at your school and stuff, but I guess like a kid that you do feel comfortable talking with, and I feel like that whoever that kid is, they should have that respect to just, because I don't know, if a kid comes up to me And like, let's say if I'm just back in that environment where I was in school, because I'm trying to think, like, I don't think there would be at times though where I feel like I'm, because it's been so long, like it's like 10 years from me being a senior, over 10 years of my senior year. But like anything before that, I'm trying to think, like, I can't. No, actually, you know what? No, I remember there's back in fifth grade, there was this one kid where he was considered the quiet kid and stuff in the classroom. But no, I remember, because I think when did that SpongeBob movie come out? Because I'm like, I think it was when that first SpongeBob movie came out. Hold on for a second. SpongeBob movie. Let's see. What was that first? Was it 2004? Dang, I don't feel like. I mean, I guess if it was in 2004, it was in 2000. Well, anyways, but it was like some years later. I just remember we were somewhere in the school, and I remember like talking with one of my friends about it, like, because I think they asked like what did I do, and I was like, well, I was watching the SpongeBob movie and stuff. And then he quoted the movie. Like, he just jumped into the conversation. He quoted the movie. I remember me and him, we were sitting there just talking about the SpongeBob movie. So yeah, I was definitely one of those kids where I'm all like, if there's a kid that I can relate to on something, I'm like, yeah, I'm like, bro, let's sit down, let's talk about that, let's talk about whatever. I'm like, so yeah, it's like, I think that, just talking to the kid, it's like, I guess like if you're thinking about that, like you want to be homeschooled because you struggle socially. I'm like, yeah, just, I don't know, like it's because I'm trying to think, like, there should be activities even in schools where it's like, I mean, like, they got like those after school programs, but I'm like, I don't know, they have like, if they you know what, because if you're into, like, if there's something that you're into, they should have like a recommendation box where there's like after school programs, and then it's like, then it can be something announced throughout the school, like, hey, there's like a comic book club, or there's a video game club, or a video game development club, or just something, where other kids show up, and then it's all like, all right, cool, and then it's like something that you could create, and I guess, like, I don't know, maybe have it where it's like I don't know, I feel like that might be something where it's a kid, if they want to be in the yearbook, I mean, yeah, leader of the video game club or something like that, and then it's just, yeah, all a bunch of kids. If people poke fun at you, it's like, hey, at least we all sitting around and having fun. It's like, what you doing? It's like, you guys sit down and think about that with the bullying. It's like, if a bully approaches you guys, talk about, oh, look at y'all sitting around playing video games, and it's like, bro, you literally do the same thing. You just do it at your house. It's like, you gonna call me out like that's, yeah, it's one of those things where I'm all like, I definitely have somebody crying. I'm like, yeah, you put me in that environment again, I'm like, it's gonna be the same situation. Somebody's gonna go home crying, and it ain't gonna be me. I'm gonna go home laughing. I was a laugher when I was a kid. You watch my videos, look at the laugh lines I got. There's proof right there. But I like, the thing is this, I was one of those like Uno reverse kids. But it wasn't a situation where I just go out and just be bullying people. It's like, no, it's like, you try that mess with me, I'm like, oh, that's the game you want to play. Okay, I can relate on that in a way. And I'm like, but I'm gonna make sure I hit home. Like, I'm gonna hit it where it hurts and stuff. So anyways, I feel like people, they're gonna try to flip that on me about like, oh, TMossBoss was a bully growing up. And I'm like, I guess in a way I was, but it was just more so the people that was doing stuff to me. So, but anyways, yeah, for the quiet kids at school, like, just try to, like, I guess, like, I don't know, try to find people. But yeah, like I said, like, have it where it may be a club, or if there's like just some sort of way to like pass the word around if there's something that you're interested in. So if it's like movies, TV shows, music. So yeah, there's like, I remember there was one of my friends where she got me into dubstep music, and it was just, the funny thing was, it was like, we didn't really relate to any things up until she told me about dubstep music. So I guess I am going to kind of give out some advice for a kid that is being homeschooled, because I feel like, yeah, this needs to be like an episode just talking on homeschool and school, and because I was like, yeah, I was going to originally just kind of just do this, but I was like, just getting to talking, and you get to thinking about it, I'm like, no, there's more to talk about with this, so, but anyways, no, though, with but yeah, just overall having it where it's like you could communicate with kids, because like I was saying, the one girl, she got me into dubstep music. Then had, like, literally there's nothing that we could relate to on anything, but overall though, she did get me into it, and I was like, bro, this music is actually good. Like, I'm listening to Excision and stuff. It was like these mixes that they used to come out with, or I think now he still does come out with those mixes still to this day. And I was like, man, this is good. And so I was all like, nah, I'm listening to this at the time being. It was like, yeah, Excision, Skrillex. I'm trying to think of some other people. Yeah, just like, dubstep during that time frame, my freshman year in high school. So like 2010, 2011. And then, then overall, then, yeah, but just, be able to find kids that you can relate to, or even if it's just like something new that you want to get into, there's that too and stuff. So, but, anyways, what else? And then, like, for the homeschool kid and stuff, it's like, make sure if you do homeschooling, make sure it's a proper way of doing homeschooling, but it's like, but definitely, have that time set aside to where you are being like, socially active, whether it's, talking with people on the video game, or even, because I think they still do like them like chat room stuff, but you got weirdos on there, so yeah, it's probably best stick with the video games. You'll possibly find, I hear that all the time, people be making friends on video games and stuff. So yeah, just, I don't know, fine. And they need to do that too. They need to make video games a little bit more social and stuff, so yeah, I guess like find a video game that you're interested in, because there's a lot of different games out there where they got like communities for those games, and you could just sit down and talk with people about that. But be careful with it, because you guys, there's weirdos everywhere, so definitely be careful with that type of stuff, so you don't get caught up or in any things, and then there's somebody trying to take advantage of you and stuff. I feel like that needs to be laid out, because again, mentioning that guy Just a Robot, he's that type of person. He will take advantage of you. So be cautious and stay away from people like that. Do the right thing when it comes down to, getting involved, I guess, like when it comes down to some internet stuff. And if you don't really trust that, then yeah, I guess like if there's areas you could chill at. I'm saying, they don't have like arcades and stuff. Find a hobby, get involved, and then, just go from there and things. But anyways, with that being said, I will talk to y'all later. Thank you guys for watching and or listening. Stay tuned for the next episode. Like, subscribe, viewing this on YouTube. Follow or subscribe, viewing this on the podcast streaming service, and peace.